What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Bible Wisdom YouTube channel. I wanted to give another proof of the last days. And, I think this is not even completely from a point of looking at the Bible and seeing what the Bible says about the last days, but just looking at, kind of the future that I know can come from this. And I think this probably stems from movies too. But when you look at the robotics, I just saw two companies put out new videos about what their robots can do. And you can see that these robots are going to, lead up to the mark of the beast. When you think about looking at the mark of the beast, what would sort of come from, how do you get to the point of the mark of the beast? Well, I think it's when these robots, I highly recommend looking up some of these videos on these robots, but when you see what some of these things can do, especially some of the top ones, some of the latest ones, when you put it together, imagine all these different robots doing the job that maybe you do now or different people do in the world. One of the little podcasts that I just released was how I've seen the robot that can basically unload a truck, unload a truck completely by itself, autonomously, and basically eliminates the whole concept of loading and unloading cargo. And so when you think of when I saw that, it like it sparked a thought in me that I was like, wow, they are really trying to replace people in the workforce. And so one of the things that I thought of, that I was just kind of, sort of enlightened on, I guess, is that I think how we get to the mark of the beast is that people are no longer having to work. Now, that's great, all in all, not having to work on some point. But then you realize that now robots are doing all the different jobs that are out there, except maybe, I don't know, the CEO or, the high level managers. But, you have robots doing all the different jobs. And so now people are without a job, but yet the economy is still going because you have a robot doing the job. You have robots doing farm work. Think about how crazy that is. If you were to see the video that I saw, you would see that these robots can speak like a human being, but also they can pretty much do anything that a human being can do. Now, I will say that it is a little slow, but they are going to figure that out. And so it's crazy when you think about how if there's no people working, but yet the economy is still going, then what are we going to do, but yet be forced to be supplied by the government or the person who owns this robot or all of the robots? Now, I never would have really thought that I would be making a video, and I think I've heard this phrase used a lot in the past year or so, is that, hey, I've never thought I would say I see this or say this, but I never really thought I would actually be making videos on how robots are sort of taking over. But I mean, just think about, the whole concept of even scanning billions of people to see if they have a mark of the beast. That would take a lot of manpower. There would be long lines everywhere to even get, something. But yet, you would think that, this wouldn't be happening, but it is. And also, when Revelation talks about a 200 million man army, two things come to mind is that either it's a robot army, but it uses the word man. So other thing is, these are all people who don't have anything else to do but serve in the military. So, that's later on in the book of Revelation. But I saw a comment saying, the next 5 to 10 years are going to be crazy. But honestly, they are snowballing on these different technological advances that, they're already like, you could pretty much put this robot to even be, I don't know, a cashier, if you want more of a human type of experience. There's many jobs that this robot can already do, even though I think they are really trying to perfect it before they really bring it out into the public. One thing I think is also strange is that you can't see, what they have developed already, I think is something worth showing off, but yet we can only see videos of it. Imagine inventing something like this. You would spread it all over the world to show this off, or at least, have a little station in Best Buy where you can see this thing doing demos. But yet they aren't doing that, and I think that's a little suspicious too. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily against new technology. I'm not really against robots, but the Bible clearly explains some things that I think is sort of crazy when you think about it. And so I think this is one of the proof of the last days. And I may have done a video similar to this, but I think this is a proof of the last days, just because when you talk about people being replaced, when you talk about there no longer being a need to work, and then you talk about, I don't know, space exploration, just artificial intelligence alone they're using it to sort of calculate things and figure things out. And so I guess apparently it's aiding in, being able to, develop different things. And so, this is just sort of like the ball has been pushed down the hill, and now it's just picking up speed as it goes further and further down the hill. And so, one of the things is like, sometimes you can wonder like, okay, why would a person create something like this? But then, I do think it's pretty cool, but at the same time, it's like, you can see, just the problems with it, and the government is not regulating it at all. Imagine being able to create people. You're literally creating a person, and as far as I know, the government is not regulating it. Obviously the government does things that they don't tell us, so obviously the government probably has some hand into this, but they at least are sharing information from the standpoint of, we need to start regulating this, as if they're not doing it yet. And so, when you talk about the implications of, having the power to, have something like this being made, I think it's disturbing, and, I think that, you can tell that this is leading up to the Mark of the Beast time frame, where you wonder how people wouldn't have to buy or sell. And we always thought that it would come from maybe a day's wage, but I think it has something to do with there is no more jobs, at least on the lower type level. And now, you have the government controlling all the food, all the jobs, and, it's just crazy. And so anyway, I know that, one of the things that we need to do is realize that because it's the last days, I think that this is a proof of the last days, just because, I don't know how long God will let this go on, but I think definitely it's a last day sign. Now, I don't know if it's last days of as in 50 years from now or 100 years from now, but, wow, we're already pretty advanced, at least from, compared to the beginning, where it was just Adam and Eve in the forest in a garden, they were just among trees. The Bible doesn't tell us that there was, much of anything there. But of course, there were some different dynamics as far as, apparently there were talking animals back then. We don't have that today. Apparently there were, a flaming sword that can turn every way. That's some tech that, it's not technology, but I don't know what it is, but it's the power of God. But that's something we can't do today. And so, I think, God is going to definitely intervene. But of course, we don't know when God is going to intervene. I go to the Tower of Babel that, we don't know how much of the Tower of Babel was built before God confused their language. And so that's just something to think about. I think that, of course, it's great that we're getting closer and closer to the time of Jesus, the time of Jesus' return, the time of, being taken into heaven, and our redemption is drawing near. And so these are things that I think are encouraging to know that Jesus is getting closer as we see, different things take place and take shape. And so that's what I wanted to share for today's video. Thanks so much for checking this out. Also, go ahead and look up maybe some of these robots if you want to. Maybe I can leave a link to one in the description of this video. And so thanks so much, and I will talk to you on the next one. See ya.